What's going on, y'all? My name is Rob McCarty. I'm one of the co-founders of Illust, and we're going to be hosting our last workshop for the Road to Miami series that we've been doing as part of Balanced Forces. So today we have some special guests that are have many accolades in the space across AR, Web3, immersive tech, and yeah, we're really excited to bring them on the stage here in a second. Stage, I guess it's a live stream. I mean, it's just a very skew more quick. But anyhow, let me just quickly share with you all. Just I know that today is the last day for call for submissions for Miami, but figure might as well do the normal the normal chat here and share with you what we've been up to and why we've been doing this series. So let me share my screen, and then we'll have Crystal and Sven and JPR, if she's around, just do a quick chat, as today is the last day for submissions. Um, so, real quick, what is this Balanced Forces thing that we're talking about? This has been a traveling AR exhibition where we're going to different cities around the world. Started in British Columbia, moved over to New York, now down in Miami for Miami Art Week. We've had, we've had more than 50 countries represented around the world as they've been publishing their AR experiences, talking about different global issues along the way. And I've had hundreds of thousands of impressions on social, and we've seen thousands of on-location visits to the art walks and the sculpture gardens. And we're really excited about just folks using AR as a way to tell stories, be able to break down barriers and share perspectives. So this is what it's all about, and we figure with Miami Art Week being such a hotbed for culture, but also being right there on the ocean, kind of in the battlegrounds of what's going on right now with regards to some of the larger geopolitical topics. We figured it was an opportune time for us to talk about oceanic conservation. And the event that we're actually going to be nestled in with for Miami Art Week is going to be doing a series of panels on Thursday the 4th, bringing climate scientists as well as oceanographers and those that are about protecting the seas. So we figured this is an opportune time for us to use the medium of AR to share and to influence people as they might be navigating around and checking out the different sites that is Miami during Miami Art Week. But I want to hand the mic over to Crystal. If you want to say just quick check in with the group here on our last session, and then we'll hand over to Sven and JBR.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon and evening. I'm over here in BC, where we started Balanced Forces for the Art Outside Festival that I was coordinating. And I'm just so excited at what Balanced Forces has become and what it will continue to be. This is an exciting drop for us because we are doing a collection drop, which we'll chat about a little more later. But I think just where we've come from and where we're headed, it's been such an amazing opportunity and such a great turnout. Each time we've been doing it, there's been more artists getting involved. And doing these education series, I think, is so beneficial to those of us who are professional artists, those of us who work in the digital space, and those of us who are just figuring it out from the beginning and sort of starting this community. We have our school group. As you know, most of you came through that today, and getting our homework, which I'm behind in, I will admit. But I think it's just been such an amazing opportunity for artists, and doing the drop and also just the exposure and the collaborations that we've been able to partner with various places, from a restaurant to the UN to the Sagamore Hotel. Like, this is just getting bigger, and it's really exciting to see the submissions so far. And I'm looking forward to sitting down with the rest of the curation team on Friday and going through everything. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal. And Sven, I think I saw you in the crowd there.
Hey, Crystal. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? You caught me a little bit on my left foot right now because I'm simultaneously working on my presentation, as we talked about yesterday. But it's all right. I'm still excited, and I'm not surprised, but positively vibed that so many new artists joined us for BitBaser in Miami, and that it's great to see how all this project develops and progresses, and then it makes so much fun working with you guys and the artists coming together and learning more and more every day, and I see the the wide discussions in our DM group on eggs, and it's amazing vibes and so much positivity, and yeah, let's see, last day to go, and we're gonna have our meeting on Friday, as Chris has said.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man. Is JBR in the mix, or she might be working on her piece right now?
I don't think I saw her, Rob.
Okay. No worries. JBR is one of the other collaborators with Bounce Forces, and she's an artist, so she's probably, I know at least I was late last night working on something, so I imagine she is too. But cool. Well, yeah, so we are actually going to go right into the the purpose of today's session. So as I mentioned, this industry has been around for a bit of time. In the last, on the Twitter Spaces this Monday, we were talking to Gene, who's been in since 2016. We have some friends. I actually spoke with a gentleman who was on the original fighter pilot AR helmet that they used to have in the 70s. So fighter pilots used to have AR in their helmets, which I thought was pretty crazy. But anyhow, the space is evolving every single day. We're kind of gearing up. 2026 is going to be a really exciting year for wearable technology. But we still believe that mobile-based AR, you can still have very compelling AR experiences. You can distribute it out to a large audience. So a lot of the folks here have been playing in the space and also in adjacent industries. So such as, Web3, and then also, design, agency work. So yeah, I guess we'll just kind of go in order here from left to right, at least as the presentation is. So maybe Ivan, if you just want to kick it off, introduce yourself and maybe share what was the catalyst to bring you into the AR industry.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for having me, Rob. Really great to see you all here. So my name is Ivan. I'm co-founder of Aries. So what we do in a nutshell, we kind of like gamifying marketing activities for brands, agency, like corporates, and training programs for corporates by using AR and VR. We also have a separate branch related to the gaming, specifically like VR gaming, but the bread and butter for us is mostly like AR driven. So in terms of what brings me into the AR, I guess having a marketing background, always was kind of like fascinated by the intersection of art and creative storytelling, and I think AR is one of the best way or the medium how you can convey the story to the like external world and build really emotional connection with the people. So that's probably it. I jump into the art field, I guess, in the late 2018 when the Meta just introduced like Spark AR. It's even not like when they introduced, they just bought the kind of like the startup and start building the AR engine internally. So that's actually what drove me into this space. Thankfully for one of my co-founders, who was keeping an eye on this for a while. So yeah, and here I am, almost 7 years later, pushing the boundaries where possible in this field. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Ivan and Stella.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, even though my voice is definitely giving up on me today. My name is Stella. I've been in the Web3 space now for almost 7 years. I'm a steward at Unlock Protocol DAO, which is the decentralized protocol for memberships, events, certifications, and of course, art collection on chain. So the difference is that you can actually govern your contracts, which is not a thing if you launch your NFTs on our platforms. Anyways, I'm also the founder of the Alana project, which is an educational and creative project. And yeah, my last big job, I guess, in the context that we're speaking about today was for Snapchat. I developed a collection with two friends, like 24 different pieces. And I've been looking forward to exactly what Rock is building. So I'm super excited that more and more people are joining this community. If you guys feel like it, if you want to hear more about what I do, these are some sources you can follow. And that's all about me so far.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. That's great. And Nico.
Hi, my name is Nico. I'm a good friend of Rob. really love what he's been building with illust. And I got into AR back in the days, probably like a few years before COVID, 2018 or something. I have a background in game development. I was just obsessed with game engines and 3D modeling and all that. And when I discovered AR, I think it was the early Snapchat creator community that made me fall in love with AR. I remember I came to like one of the first lens feds and met all these amazing creators from all over the world, and everyone's super imaginative, badass, creative, and it just inspired me to stay in this community. One thing led to another. I ended up working at Snapchat as an AR engineer for about 2 years, starting in 2020 to 22. And then after that, I YOLO'd and quit my job and started exploring intentional communities and sleeping in my car and just decided to go explore the opposite spectrum of XR. And now I'm launching my own company called Agartha, and I'm focusing on bringing creative people and tech people, art people together and live intentionally in beautiful eco-village places. And that's kind of where I found like a medium like between art, nature, and technology. And yeah, that's about it.
Amazing, Nico. Thanks for sharing. And then we have Asia.
Hi there, how everyone? I'm going to be the most confusing one because you see here written Anastasia. I go by Asia as well. Here you see a taxi lit studio, that's the thing that I'm running. Oh my gosh, you're writing so many nice comments. I'm constantly distracted with such a nice audience. You're so lovely. I'm super happy to be here and showing my perspective on AR from a little bit different side because I'm originated from different field. I opened my Web3 studio and then we transformed into digital design studio and this weird name like CILET. We are a creative experiential lab for emergent design. That basically means that everything new that is coming up, we need to learn it as fast as possible. And obviously we need to work with all of the XR technologies. And then I became a part of XR for Heritage when we're actually using AR to tell the stories, to preserve history, to preserve culture, and etc. So I'm very happy to be here with all of you today and share my perspective. Thank you for having me.
That's great. Yeah, I kind of following off of, talking about heritage. Maybe Ivan, if you want to share, like what business sectors show maybe some of the fastest adoption of AR or that have it's really landed well in those ecosystems.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about heritage, obviously we need to mention museums, art galleries, and things that are strictly related to art and history. You can find so many different clients in this sector. It really depends on your personal interest and on your community. Who are you trying to pitch? But, not to take too much time, I just need to mention that it has really a lot of different opportunities, different tenders. They're coming from different cultures. We're based in Italy, so obviously for us it's European Union tenders, but I know that in States you have a lot of different opportunities. And it's really important to use augmented reality because the painting not going to speak for itself. So you should give some kind of voice to it and continue with the very meaningful storytelling.
Nice. That's awesome. I've seen a lot of commercial projects from your team. Was there like is there a certain like client group or a certain industry or anyone that is really like latched on to your team's capabilities and what you've done in augmented reality?
Mm-hmm. Good question. I would say the fashion retail like e-commerce is one of the most like dynamic sectoral group of client that actually adopting AR and see the meaningful progress, because again it's all about emotional connection for them. So like, I don't know, from virtual try-ons and product previews. So we work a lot with the consumer, like automotive, like consumer brands. So from Sony Music, L'Oreal, Henkel, Rovio, Lego, Red Bull, and many others. So they are actually marketing teams that really see the potential of augmented reality just to deliver the kind of like new type of experience for the audience and kind of like alleviate the product user experience in a sense. I don't know. So I would say the fashion retail is one of the most fastest one in terms of like adoption of augmented reality from what I see currently. Of course, there's a huge opportunity in education and healthcare, but I think it's more like regulated areas where a lot of stakeholders involved. So it's like a lot of internal bureaucracy. But actually, in specifically those areas, the value of augmented reality is like unmatched. Because again, it's like pre-op visualization, some like I don't know, like even during the surgery when the doctors can utilize the augmented reality to do the more target procedure. It's gonna like impact the human lives. But again, due to the regulation stuff, it's much more harder to adopt the technology at the first place. So I would say like consumer brands, fashion retail is one of the fastest category of the clients who really adopt the AR no matter what. And what I saw for the last 3 years, one of the most important is that the shift that marketing teams start already like incorporating AR as in the budgeting for the next year. So let's say even like social AR spending the filters. So they already have a dedicated budget for those activities, which is, I mean, 4 years before nobody know what it was. But now like marketers specifically in the big corporates and the big brands, they're pretty much familiar with the technology. They know kind of like what it capable of. So that's one of the biggest trend that I saw for the last like 2-3 years.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Ivan. We'll explore some of the components there. But I want to pass it over to Stella. I know that when we first kind of started engaging, I mean, it seems like you just had such a keen understanding of the fashion world. Is there anything that you've seen, at least with like immersive tech or even like kind of bridging into like metaverse, that these kind of tools have really enhanced the storytelling or connected with end audiences?
First of all, I want to agree with what everyone else said before about heritage and in fashion actually being, on a fast adoption course out of all the industries, I feel. But where I see, I guess, an opportunity niche, and that kind of started to come together as one of the first projects for me in Web3 was when I was working with Lauren Catcher on an AR-enabled collection that was at the same time a statement of civil disobedience in a way, right? So a revolutionary element or a manifestation, but just in the sense of virtual fashion. So you have a physical fashion piece, you print, you embroider something on it, and then you scan it with a phone, and it actually gives you a quite like in your face message, which I thought was such a cool use case. It's like this, in games, it would be the Easter egg that you play the game endlessly for to discover. So first of all, it's something really exciting, but then also it's something extremely powerful, right? Especially in the day and age of like algorithms and, the internet being observed by several machines that just look for certain words that you spell out. So like the ability to hide messages in physical pieces and bring them to the digital world as a bridge, I find that truly fascinating, to be honest. That was the first project I started working on, and we invented that also on chain. So, it's compiled everything that we believed in into this one piece of like, I don't know, really cool things all in one package. So that part, I think is for me personally still the most exciting part. When it comes to fashion and storytelling, I think yes, but it's been more used, I want to say, by smaller labels rather than big fashion brands. And please correct me if I've just not been keeping up to date, because my career has shifted over the last years quite a bit from actually having studied fashion at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna, working 8 years in fashion. And then today I'm, a governance and coordination lead at a decentralized protocol. So I might not have kept up with that as much as I should have. But yeah, I've been seeing more smaller labels actually engaging with that type of technology. Outside, of course, of what Ivan said, retail purposes, right? So many of my friends who also have smaller labels, they're using it. So people can try on the jewelry, see how it looks on their desktop and be like, yeah, I actually like that. And they buy it, right? But outside of that, I want to say it's more than used by smaller brands. Anyway, did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think like again with the goals here is to kind of just show the ecosystem where AR is being applied, where the value is, and then we can maybe talk about some more like nitty-gritty tactics about approaching some of these institutions. But I want to hand it over to Nico, because Nico has been, I mean, you've been seeing the technology evolve quite a bit over the last, I mean, gosh, 8 years. And now as you kind of look at this confluence between nature and tech and art, I'd love to hear like where do you see the space evolving, and what kind of opportunities are there from maybe a like a community level with augmented reality and storytelling?
Yeah, I feel like AR or XR in general is gonna hit an inflection point at some point once the hardware convenience issue has been solved. Snapchat, Facebook, they're coming up with the glasses, but it's still super early. It's not like you can't really wear that to anywhere you want. But I think it's gonna change. And I think that's gonna just really define how AR is used in our day-to-day lives. Like right now, at least when I was at Snap, the best use cases for AR is commercial, like, brand promotion and then fashion, because that's, as what Stella was saying, like that's the number one most useful thing that you can have is like you see yourself with clothes. But I think AR has so much more potential for a lot of use cases beyond that. And the limitation right now is the phone, the screen, because the way AR is meant to feel is that it should be really immersive. Like the technology itself should feel invisible. You should be out in nature or wherever doing sports, and then the technology is just there. So whether it's gonna be with wearable glasses or it's gonna be with BCI, I've heard the rumors that companies like Midjourney are experimenting with BCI stuff. That stuff might coming soon. So maybe it's like either implanted or external, whichever happens sooner. I think similar to what AI happened in the past few years, like before ChatGPT and Midjourney, AI art or AI like LLM industry has been like silently building. And then at some point, the inflection point hit, now it's just everywhere. So I think it's going to be very similar with XR. But the question is, we don't know if it's like 5 years or 50 years. There's a joke in XR where it's like, it's always another 5 years. You said this 5 years ago. But so that's something that I think only very limited amount of like super advanced hardware people would know for a more clear answer. But one thing that like the last AR project that I worked with was with Liquid City. There's this really awesome studio in the UK. It was funded by the creator Keiichi Matsuda, who made this video called Hyper Reality. You probably have seen the footage of it if you do some search. But basically it's the vision. The video was made 7 years ago. It's a vision of the future where everything is augmented. And it's kind of slightly dystopic where like, you go on a bus, you cannot go into a bus or a shopping mall without seeing like ads and stuff. And then identity and things is kind of foggy and easy to be, stolen and things like that. But what the project that we worked on together with this was this project called Whisk, and it's an AR scavenger hunt game where you have these little aliens, and then they look like little puff fishes, and then they come and they talk to you, and then they give you little puzzles. And then the idea is that you need to go outside and look around and then find objects that these aliens are kind of asking you to find. So it's a scavenger hunt game. And the whole thing is just purely conversational and gesture based. It's like meant to be a demonstration for kids to experience the world in a gamified way, but doesn't feel like extractive. It doesn't feel like you're kind of taking the kids away from nature and reality. You're kind of like leading them out there and using AR to amplify their experience and help them learn. So examples like that, that project is just a very small demo. It's not really, a paid game. It's a business. It's not really a business. It's just like a little like demonstration of what it can be. And it's still super expensive to run. Right now, like you have to own one of these glasses and the battery dies after an hour and a half. but I do think things like that can become more and more accessible and prevalent down the line, right? Given maybe another 5 years. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Nice. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, Nico. And it conjured up this idea of just kind of, we're talking about such a progressive, forward-looking, like futuristic technology, but then we're also juxtaposing it next to heritage and culture and history. So I'd be really interested to hear from you, Asia, about what is it about AR that has attracted that industry, that space to using the tools, using the tech, and how have you been able to communicate the value of AR to them when maybe pitching or presenting your services to their organizations?
Thank you so much, Rob, for your question. Well, that's very interesting just because we're facing a new generational problem of communication, as well as right now we're not used to consume information in the same way that we used to consume it before. And especially after COVID times and everything, it was kind of hard to bring the young generation back to museums and galleries and places like that. So people started to be curious about how to grab and keep their attention with something that is actually super relatable, that is feeling like a TikTok, that is feeling like scrolling on social media or something like this. Because studies show that new generation were really responsive much more to XR experience rather than reading the plain text that it's like near the painting or near the sculpture. And AR is giving us unlimited opportunities of being able to activate a statue, of being able to activate the whole wall painting, to add a tag, to actually I'm more related to fashion than to to culture. And like I had much more projects in fashion, and we're doing things like we're printing the paintings on evening gowns, and then we're introducing accessories where we are implementing NFC chips that are leading us to Snapchat. So technology can be as complex as you can imagine in your head, and it's truly limited by the goal of the client. I was, being based in Italy, we are really into preserving the culture. We are really into not ruining every single archetype that we're finding. So we have a lot of opportunities to set it up in space, and we have a lot of calls that are asking us actively to build the storytelling and tell what was happening in the past. The thing that became very popular is obviously AR mirror and this kind of installation, because they're definitely grabbing the most of attention. And it's not only for window shopping, but if you place AR mirror at the event or in the beginning of the museum, or you're giving people some kind of AR photo booth, it's becoming like, the most important and the most popular part of the expo generally. So my approach for pitching, I'm just trying to be super active, visiting everything that is happening, putting myself into the community who are sharing the same kind of interests. And there is nothing new, like obviously the LinkedIn approach and being the right place with the right people, and try to pitch it as much as you can, and being passionate about what you do. Informate yourself, educate yourself on histories, trying to resolve some kind of problems, or just generally care a lot. It will lead you to a lot of opportunities and a lot of clients. So that's it. I hope that I answered your question.
Yeah, that was great, Asia. Thanks so much. It got me thinking about, so you're passionate about this communication device, this way of telling stories, this way of archiving history, of engaging people on site. But so maybe you get the meeting set up with an organization to do that. And so I want to pass the question over to Ivan, because I'm sure, you've had plenty of conversations with clients about really that kind of scoping process, that process of being like, okay, like they're interested in AR, they want to do something. how do you go about kind of formulating what questions you want to ask the client? Or is there any like specific questions that are like absolutely key you got to ask them so you can actually build like a proposal to then present to them to actually, get the job or get the opportunity?
Sure, sure. To be honestly, the first question that I ask usually it's what is the goal? So I really try to uh pause the client, and sometimes there is a lot like so the clients who used to reach out to us, they a lot have kind of like exposed to the new technology. There's sometimes like excitement in a way, but I will like try to cool them off and really dig into what kind of problem or goal they want to achieve. And I sometimes very brutal about like that for some goals they don't need AR. So I usually ask them, what is the goal? So and basically building the chain of like thoughts or like kind of like my way towards what kind of like approach or technology we can use. And I really brutally honest with the clients in terms of, hey guys, let's say you can you want to, I don't know, increase the sales, but for specific category of the clients, using AR not leading to the sales. That's truth. And I will not selling the clients, even though we can make money and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, like at the end of the project, client will build expectations because they like we will use new technology and they will drive the sales, but apparently they not. So I at the early beginning and onboarding call, I can say, guys, there is a bunch of other things, other technology way of achieving the goal instead of AR. So you really want why you want this use this technology. If I understand that, yes, for this specific goal, I know uh again, my best example, like build emotional connection or drive UGC in some case, like in fashion retail, probably as Aisha mentioned before, like driving the food traffic to the booth or whatever. It could really AR could really be the kind of like the tool, the feature that can help them achieve the goal. But for some cases, it's not. So for the first question that I try to ask, what is a goal, and try to really understand and decompose what actually client mean in like what he wanted or she wanted to achieve, and then it comes down to what kind of like approach you can use to help client to achieve this goal. And AR could be the one of those approach, but there's plenty other things that the client can actually use according to their budget, time frame expectation and whatsoever. So that's probably, I mean, nothing new, but that's how we usually work with a client. And this is the first question that I try to ask the clients, like, what is the goal?
Yeah. I really like that, Ivan. I think something that you mentioned there that really resonated was sometimes you need to kind of calm things down a little bit, because AR is really exciting, and especially when you have maybe a first experience with AR, that novelty just makes you think we can do everything. But you need to be able to temper that with the client and manage expectations, because otherwise they might be expecting everything, and unless you show them what it is specifically, then there might be a differential between expectations and reality. Uh,
I need that. And it's also about the like building the trust, so the client can really see that they can trust you because you're not trying to oversell something that at the end of the day, again, it's all about the managing expectation, because if they come up to you with one set of expectation that you cannot fulfill fully, so it's kind of like already, it's a trust that you build with this client. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, speaking of trust and systems, I think that's a great segue to Stella and talking about Web3. I'd love to hear about how you've been able to collaborate with different business partners, and really using this idea of like provenance and security, and like what are the things that draw people into the Web3 dynamic of what they can do for their businesses, because that is something that we're all really excited about the future of.
Maybe I can share a little anecdote about what really got me into all of this, because it was something that was very much linked to me being a creator. I was like, I'll say, beginning of the pandemic, I was growing really well on Instagram, had a lot of fun doing it as well. And I was hired by, the Museum of Art in Vienna, art history actually, to design or to essentially, I guess, use some of their art pieces, deconstruct them, and turn them into patterns for masks. I know, sounds super weird, especially now in retrospect, but it was a really great project. I had a ton of fun. They gave me all of these high quality images, deconstruct and turn into patterns. And some beautiful mask designs came out of this. And then, they did a whole photo shooting in a completely empty museum, right? And they had one of the masks printed in completely out of scale for one of their big ass sculptures of David, and they put it on the David sculpture, on the marble sculpture, and took pictures. And so they sent some of these pictures to me and said, "Hey, can you post them on your Instagram account? Because soon we're on a reopening the museum, and we want people to come to us, not fear the pandemic and all of this." I was like, "Great, let's do it." So I pushed it out on my Instagram as a collaborative post, and well, my account was paused. And I was like, what is happening? Right? I was so distraught, and they were like, "Your post is not showing. Your account is basically it's empty." And I'm like, "What the hell is happening?" And then I found out I was banned because I posted a semi-nude sculpture on Instagram, right? And this is what really got to me, honestly, as well. Was a key moment. I was already part of Web3, already putting stuff out on chain. But this moment, it defined my path from there. So I kind of dropped off Instagram gradually, but eventually, I'm now most of the time to be found on Farcaster, which is a semi-decentralized social network. And yeah, and it defined also what I started looking for. So until then, I've been working a lot with the Snapchat, with the Lens Studio. As Nico seems to be also very focused. But then, I discovered Filter, and eventually, even better, I discovered Rob, and I discovered illust, right? These things, they just send you on a journey, because you start to realize whatever you're putting out there is not really under your control. And as an artist, that's highly dependable. I mean, I live in Peru, right? It's not like there is a huge tech and creator scene around. So I really have to speak to people outside of Peru, previously to get also jobs, which means you're highly dependent on your social media actually reaching people. If you cannot reach people, then you cannot get jobs, right? So it's kind of a lifeline. And that's super, super important. So anyway, from there on, set it out on a journey. I also discovered Unlocked Protocol this way, because I was like, oh, it's great if you can mint NFTs. But OpenSea, Foundation, they all own the contracts, right? They are centralized companies. So there is not really, it's not really getting to the core of all of it. So this is how I discovered Unlocked Protocols. Amazing. Now I can deploy my own smart contracts without being a coder. That's fantastic, right? So bit by bit, all of these tools emerging further, being more adopted by obviously all of you here on the call today, and hopefully many more people beyond. I think it really does matter, so that creators can, be autonomous from centralized platforms and not fear that their lifelines are being cut by these centralized platforms. Okay, I will stop preaching now. Thanks, Rob.
No, it's great, because it triggered something that was really kind of formative, and that was reinforced when Meta closed Spark AR. Was that, say, for example, with Meta Spark, when they closed down, there was collections that were in museums that are no longer supported. So now you basically have 6 years of culture that was removed from our registry of experiences for future reference. So that idea, now spinning that back to a brand, or spinning that back to it's really this idea of longevity, things that can actually stand the test of time. We talk about heritage, we talk about archiving experiences, but then it's also trust. that, whomever the individual is that is presenting, you can trust that is in fact who is the actual author or the one that is sharing that. So I think that, I mean, I'm just looking at the time and I'm like, this time flew by. So I do want to leave it to maybe just one quick question for each guest, just about if you had like a couple sentence like recommendation to a new aspiring AR creator, what would it be? And maybe 2 or 3 sentences, but if you can, I'm gonna throw that one over to Nico. Put you in the hot seat right now, Nico. 2 or 3 sentences.
Let's do it.
Reco for an AR.
I have my answer prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. What has been amazing. Sentence number 1 is that when it comes to creativity, like don't overthink. Just do your most wild, like out there, crazy self. And as the more authentic you are, the more magnetic your work can be. When it comes to the technical side of things, I would say read your documentation and watch your tutorial, because as a creative, you are using creativity to bring your imagination out there. But then what your clients and what your future collaborators want to see is the technical ability to actually execute. So being able to have both is going to make you a powerhouse that nobody's going to be able to replace you, and you're going to be awesome. And yeah, that's it.
Nice one. That's great, Nico. Asia, any parting advice?
Yeah, my advice gonna be trying to be a superhuman and always thinking outside the box. Like the basis of augmented reality is the point that reality is not enough, and we need to improve it and make it better. So obviously, it's easier to work with visual industries such as art or fashion. But like we already started a discussion about medical sector, and there are unlimited opportunities, for example, in dentistry or plastic surgery or something that you are trying to predict the final result. The AR technology is already given us an opportunity to have a look in the future and thinking about enhancements like this. So my suggestions is never stop on thinking, discovering, and trying to make this world better, because this is basically what AR is created for, because it is augmented reality, right, guys? So thank you so much. I'm passing the word to the next speaker.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And then Ivan.
Wow, that's actually like a really I'm lucky now that I'm not the first one. So like I would distinguish into the 2 parts. So the first one, like more creative, as Nico mentioned earlier. So I would like try to think about it, AR and AR like approach towards AR in terms of your core expertise and your like really curiosity, not even like a passion, but curiosity. So what I mean by that is like if you into the games, try to like merge it together. So a lot of gamification stuff that you can actually build using AR, and this is actually define your the path towards like commercialization, to what kind of like type of clients you potentially, if you want to like bring more commercial projects, to whom you will reach out, because you will speak with these people on the same language, and they will clearly see your like interest and curiosity towards this specific direction. If you're in fashion, you can merge like augmented reality with the fashion. If you're in art, also you can merge this together. The second part is the more like technical. I would suggest like thinking about AR as the feature, not the end product, and and kind of like the I would say, especially in the era of AI, it's kind of like a new type of interface from my perspective for the AI. So think about it as a feature, as a utility, as how AR in specific domain can solve some problem, or again, problem, bring more attention, more, I don't know, enjoyment to the people. But ideally, like solving some problem and making this as a utility for even like for 10 people who will use it on a daily basis. But this could be like really use case. On top of that, you can really jump in the next category or define your future path. So that will be my kind of like become.
Yeah, that's great, Ivan. Yeah, and builds the case studies as well. Yeah, and lastly, Stella.
Yeah, the system designer in me just wants to steal everything that Ivan said. 100% agree.
Go for it.
Yeah, because solving problems is literally the task of design. So it's always nice to hear other people say that. Because AR is also is a tool in a stack for designers, right? So I think maybe let's make it about two keywords especially for newcomers: curation and narration. I think with AI in place right now, I think there is a lot of opportunity in curating and narrating stories, right? And using AR and AI to do it. If you have other or additional tools that you can use, like 3D modeling, I think it makes it naturally a little bit more exciting, and it will help you to stand out, right? Because a lot of people still come to me and they're like, should I really learn Blender? Can I not just, I'm like, I still think it's worth it because it just widens your tool stack and it makes your creations probably more unique, right? So I still think there's like this, mix and match, but also knowing what story you want to tell, right? So in a world as we're living through today, where there's a lot of noise just everywhere, standing out has become extremely hard, even for very talented creators. And using these tools in quite the right mix to actually do stand out, I think that's probably what I would do if I would still do a lot of creative work. Yeah. Anyways,
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, y'all, for your time. This has been it's been a gift for all of us. And yeah, I couldn't thank you enough. And I'm excited to see what, the continued progress and what you all are working on in such different disciplines and domains. But, I think AR and the 3D suite is what all kind of drew us together. But yeah, if everyone kind of give their virtual love via emoji, that'd be great. And we're just gonna quickly kind of go through the last minute items before we call it a session here. So we got about 15 hours. Yeah, about 15 hours until the open call concludes for Miami Art Week. Big old QR code. If you scan that, it'll bring you to the open call. I know many of you here have already made your submissions, and they're looking so awesome. So thank you so much for being along for the ride. This has been again, it's been a real treat, this the 7-week sessions with all of you, and seeing the growth that's happened as well, seeing some folks creating their first crypto wallets, seeing folks creating their first 3D mesh. Yeah, it's been really, really awesome to see. And I would say that, I think the open call is kind of like the final, if we're kind of going with the homework analogy. So no homework this week because this is the final. So if you're able to submit, please do before the time concludes. But that being said, I also want to plant the seed because we have Miami coming up. Next week's going to be great. We're going to be making announcements. I believe the curation team on Monday, we're going to have the list go out with everyone that was selected, correct, Crystal? Okay.
Yes, we're going to be putting it on the website. So you can take a look there to see who has been selected.
Perfect. Yeah. So Balance Forces, the announcement on Monday, curation team on Friday. And then Wednesday, I'll be on site in Miami. If you want to come say hi, I'm going to be just making sure that everything's geo-placed where it needs to be at the art exhibit. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's gonna be a good time. So please definitely feel free to reach out. Yeah, last but not least, we will be actually taking. We already have plans for what we're going to be doing in the beginning of Q1, which there's an art gallery that wants to bring us into the mix, which we'll just leave that there and talk about when we get back from Miami. But there's more in store, more to come, and we're just so thankful that you're along for the ride. So I'm going to close out the recording here, and then we have a little bit of time for some Q&A. But as always, Thank you so much for being a part of the ride here, and the world is yours. We'll talk to you later.
Boom, ding, dong.